I'm Lexi, and I'm in the US. The other day, I was looking for something online. You remember that apple butter pie we made this time of year, last year? I was looking to see if I thought that I might be able to make it with dulce de leche in it, to have like a caramel apple pie. And I came across, in several places, a version of pumpkin pie that used sweetened condensed milk along with the evaporated milk. And I've always just made the pumpkin pie that's on the back of the pumpkin can, where it's pumpkin and eggs and spices and evaporated milk, and it goes in a pie shell in the oven. I'd never heard of making it with sweetened condensed milk. So I thought that maybe we should give that a try, because it's the time when we want pumpkin pie, right? And also, pumpkin pie is an American classic that I haven't touched on yet. And I haven't really delved deep into the history of pumpkin pie, but from what I've seen, just in a brief Google search, it might date back to before America was even a country. So back in like the 1630s, and I think the original version didn't actually use a crust. So that could be interesting to explore. A truly authentic American pumpkin pie. But for today, I want to try this apparently new twist on the American classic. So we are going to start with a 15-ounce can of pumpkin. I will put the metric for that down here. But this is just a 15-ounce can by weight of pureed pumpkin. And to that, we're going to start by adding our spices. We're going to do about half a teaspoon of salt, about a half teaspoon of ginger, that same half teaspoon of nutmeg, that was the cinnamon. That was not nutmeg. Cinnamon gets a full teaspoon, but I never think that there's enough cinnamon in these things. So I'm going to add a bit more. Teaspoon of cinnamon, half teaspoon of ginger, half teaspoon of nutmeg, and half teaspoon or so of cloves. Gonna mix that in. Smells like Thanksgiving already. And then 2 eggs. And this is a 14-ounce can, which is 396 grams of sweetened condensed milk. And then I need a measuring cup for the evaporated milk, and I didn't open this, so. Okay, and 1 cup of evaporated milk. So not quite the whole can. Well, that's annoying. This gets stirred together. This is awful thin. Well, I guess if it doesn't turn out, it's better we know now before Thanksgiving than when I'm making this for the holiday, right? Okay. And then we of course need a pie pan with a crust. And I know that last year I said I was going to learn to make my own pie crusts. I have not yet learned. And I found this buried in the depths of my freezer. So we need to use it up, right? One of these days, I will bring you all along with me as I attempt to learn how to make pie crust. Let me rephrase that, a decent pie crust. I've made pie crust before, and it was okay, it was edible, there was nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't great. Okay, so this goes in. And, you know, I want to give that one more stir with a fork because the egg looks like it's separating a little bit. Should I be using a whisk? Don't want to wash one. Okay. And then this goes into the pie crust. Scrape out all the pumpkin-y goodness. And then this is going to go into a 425 degree oven. That's, I think, 200 degrees Celsius for, you know, let me check. I think it's 15 minutes, but let me check. Yes, for 15 minutes, and then we're going to lower the heat to 350, which is 180 Celsius, for another 30 to 40 minutes until a knife comes out of it clean. And it's got just a little bit of jiggle left to it. And then it says to let it cool for at least 2 hours. So I will see you back in several hours when this has turned into a pie. See you in a bit. So the pie has come out of the oven. I have finished my dinner and it is time for dessert. Gonna give this a slice. It's still pretty warm. It could stand to be refrigerated for a few hours, but we know I'm very good with patience. And you know, I like pumpkin pie a lot, so we're gonna go with kind of big slices. Now, before anyone gets on my case, yes, pumpkin pie is infinitely better with whipped cream. I don't have whipped cream. I don't have the patience to make whipped cream. I am not going out to get whipped cream. I am happy with my pumpkin pie as just pumpkin pie. So I'm going to get this slice out of here. It has sat for about 2 hours, but I didn't refrigerate it at all, so it's still pretty warm. Let's see if I can tilt it so you can see. You can kind of see the structure there. It's holding together nicely. Seems to be a nice looking pumpkin pie. Cheers. I don't think I've ever eaten warm pumpkin pie before. Now compared to regular pumpkin pie, I don't like the texture as well. It's not as smooth, although honestly that might come down to the pumpkin. You know how I said that it didn't look like the egg was blended in real well? I realized afterwards it wasn't the egg. I didn't use commercially canned pumpkin. I used home canned pumpkin in a jar that was canned in chunks and then I mashed up. Well, it's not like I took an immersion blender to it. I just smashed it with a fork. So the pumpkin might not be as smooth as if you'd bought the pumpkin in a can. So the texture might be on me. Flavor-wise, it might be a little less pumpkin-y than the pumpkin pie I'm used to, which makes sense because of the sweetened condensed milk in it, adding more bulk than otherwise would be in it, more non-pumpkin bulk. I don't dislike it, but by no means do I dislike it, but I don't think it's this new, innovative, amazing way to make pumpkin pie. I am probably going to go back to the regular way of making pumpkin pie that's just pumpkin, evaporated milk, sugar, eggs, spices. There's nothing wrong with that pumpkin pie. I like that pumpkin pie. It's a classic for a reason. If you want to see me make that recipe of pumpkin pie on the channel, let me know down below. I know I have some viewers that aren't in the US that may not be familiar with this. Now, as for what brought me to this discovery in the first place, the thing with the dulce de leche, I probably am going to try that at some point. My apple butter pie with this recipe, with a can of dulce de leche instead of the sweetened condensed milk, because caramel apples are delicious. And let me know if you want to see that one too. I wasn't so sure about doing that on the channel since it's not significantly different from this one or from the apple butter pie that I already did before. But if you enjoyed today's video, if you could give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye!